Welcome back to the Pulse, episode number 14. We are live with myself, Ryan Turner, and of course, Derek Smith. Derek, how are you doing?
I'm good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm great, Derek. Thank you for asking. Are you ready?
I was born ready for this, man.
Let's go. Let's do it. So if you are new to the Pulse, what we do here, Derek and I help run the Armwrestling Reddit page, which is sort of like a big forum, except if you like a post, you can hit the upvote button, or if you dislike a post, you can dunk on them by hitting the downvote button. So we are going to start the show by looking at some of the more upvoted posts, so some of the top posts from the past week, and then we're going to get into some questions from the community, training questions, meta questions. You never know where that's going to go, but we'll start with what's at the top of the subreddit, and fittingly, it's a shout out to John Brezink. Happy birthday, John Brezink. This was 3 days ago, but we got some looks like pencil on paper art here. I'll try to zoom in. You guys can see it. Pretty good work. I don't know that I've seen this before, and I don't know who that signature is. Do you know who made this, Derek?
I have no idea. It's pretty good, though. It's pretty good work. It's pretty work. I can only draw a turkey.
Yeah.
Good thing. That's all.
You went to third grade, man. Me too. That is about the extent of my art. So big shout out, John Brezink. Thank you for that post, Couch Apple. Next up, we have a post from AW Auto. It's titled, Female German National Champion Loses on TV Against a 53-year-old Singer That Never Did Any Strength Sport. So have you seen this video?
Yeah. I don't. Is it worth a post?
Like, apparently. I mean, second most upvoted. People love this kind of stuff. So, I mean, yeah, this guy was stronger and she couldn't top roll him, but I don't know what the story is here. I don't know. If anyone from Germany is in the chat, can you tell me what 2DF is? Is that a big channel? I'm not sure, but
2DF. I don't know, man. Like, she's obviously not even a super heavyweight female. She's thin. She's going against a grown man. Like, I mean, I don't know, like what.
Yeah,
it's not like she's like. I mean, not even to discredit her, but it's not like she's this super, high ranked in the world, elite female arm wrestler. I mean, that's kind of to be expected. I don't know what people think happens. Just, I don't know. People
I mean, girl gets beat by a bigger guy, kind of the story there.
I know. Okay.
Next up, we have, oh God, not a controversial show today, I guess. So this is an IQ chart. And at the low end of the bell curve is, sorry, Dave. I didn't make this, Dave Chafee, and he's saying, go sideways really hard. And then at the sort of mid-average IQ, you have Ryan Bowen saying, no, you need a lot of technique in arm wrestling. And then at the very high end of the arm wrestling IQ bell curve, you have Todd Hutchings saying, go sideways really hard. Derek, is there any truth to this? Is this science?
There is merit to going sideways really hard, but Todd Hutchings and Dave Chafee do it differently in terms of like what they prioritize, how they get their stops, the amount they commit their shoulder and their elbow for like a hard stop, setting a wedge, things like that. Dave doesn't do that. Dave drives sideways, but doesn't like set his shoulders, set wedges to stop people from pinning. Like he doesn't do all that. So yeah, they're both going sideways, but the rest of it's pretty different.
Yeah. I think the message here, I think, is accurate. Like some people overanalyze things, especially when they're new. It's like basically what this is saying is at the end of the day, this is a strength sport, and don't forget that. Don't get too caught up in the weeds if you're just weak. So who posted that? Okay, Lettuce 9044. Thank you for sharing that. Another meme at the top. It's Devin riding a bike, shoves a stick in the spokes, falls. And said Opana, I guess. The point is that Devin screwed himself by pissing off Gennady. Do you think that's true?
I'm wondering if he's going to go with it again for their next match. Is he going to be screaming Opana again? Or is
definitely.
You think so?
Oh, it's dude. Half the reason he's so damn popular is because of this kind of stuff, and he loves it. He lives for this stuff. He needs that adrenaline rush. He would rather pull a pissed off Gennady than just a quiet Gennady. I mean, that's the vibe I got from seeing him there, dude. He lives for this stuff, and I don't think he's worried too much about it. Plus, it's content for his YouTube, right? Like that, you got to think about that angle.
Right.
All right, next up, Lavon, how's your wrist healed? And Lavon is saying it's coming, it's starting to recover, and it's now on the level of Hermes Gasparini. So,
little shot at Hermes. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Or which hey, did you see this vid, dude? He's looking good.
No, I didn't watch. I mean, I saw it. But I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah, no, he's starting to move, man. It's just I guess it's more just good to see him back on a table because you know how the internet is. As soon as he got injured, everyone's like, he's done. He's gonna retire from arm wrestling. He's gonna be an actor for the rest of his life and play pickleball. But just seeing him.
I was talking to somebody kind of behind the scenes in the know, and you know how that video came out a while ago about Lavon eating McDonald's or whatever.
Yes,
yeah. And I'm like, I was told that that's legit, that he eats McDonald's like legitimately every day, all day. Like that's his go-to, not just sometimes. Like that's his preferred meal of choice.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, wait, that wasn't just like a funny joke. Like, no, that's all he eats is McDonald's.
Dude. There was a
true. That's crazy though.
I read a story about Usain Bolt being the same way about chicken McNuggets. He's like, I legitimately crush like 20 pieces on the regular. So maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we have a post from Nick Lasok. He writes, who do you think would win if they arm wrestled right now? And it's kind of like a hype video of, I believe Leonidas put this out, kind of calling out Larry Wheels.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Why not get that pay-per-view and all that hype video?
True. Who wins, Derek? Give us.
I've never pulled Leonidas. I think. Even Larry's asked me about this and stuff. Like Leonidas isn't a bad arm wrestler. He has the basics down pretty well. He protects his hand and things like that. I don't think he's. I think technique-wise, they're really similar in terms of what they know and how they're driving. I don't think there's a huge technique gap with Larry and Leonidas. It's just how strong is he? That it'd come down to strength a lot, I think, between them. But I haven't felt Leonidas. I don't know what level he's at with that. I think it'll be closer. I think it'd honestly be a good match. But Larry likes to top roll predominantly left-handed, and Leonidas likes to hook. But Larry can hook left-handed as well.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see it, but I told Larry I couldn't tell you if you're the favorite or not because I haven't felt Leonidas. I don't know how strong he is. He looks strong for sure.
Has Leonidas ever pulled like Mega Mike or anyone? I'm trying to connect some dots here.
No.
Right. I mean, he's in Germany.
Devin would have the better idea, but Devin hasn't even pulled Larry in a while either. But because he went to Canada and then he's kind of been overseas a little bit. So I'm not sure, but yeah, that's definitely a match that Larry knows. Larry knows everybody wants that match, so I'm sure that's on the docket at some point. And he's starting to get his swag. So yeah, we'll see.
I was gonna say he looks ridiculous. Did well in Arizona. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hermes swimming in an anabolic pool, writes Blacklisted Man. I don't know so much the point of this besides just Hermes looking really big.
Yeah.
Hermes looks really big. I'm not sure what else.
Look at those legs are just jacked of these guys, man. Just these arm wrestling legs, man. Love them to death. I got them too.
Yeah, there's I think Martino now just showed his forearm is bigger than his calf. That's the sign that you haven't made it in arm wrestling. I don't care what WAF titles you have, how many East vs. West matches you've won. If your forearm isn't bigger than your calf, you're not an arm wrestler.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That is true. All right, let's get to the good part here.
Oh, does he cannonball?
Yep. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to the Pulse. That's what we're here for. Yeah. Hermes doing a cannonball.
The go-to for all big men. Cannonball in the quality flex.
There you go. He is looking freaking huge. But so is Jerry, man. Jesus Christ, Jerry might have like some of the biggest arms in all of arm wrestling. In fact, he just does. I'm gonna try to get some measurements when I'm there. I'll bring some tape.
I mean,
another meme. Tell me about yourself. All I can do is King's Move. Deal. World Arm Wrestling League. Do you have any insights on what's going on with WAL? We've been teased for like 6 months about their return. They still post stuff on social media. Do you have any insights?
Every once in a while, people would you'd say, back when WAL was around and Devin would correct people and be like, oh, don't count them out. But I haven't even heard that in a long time. I haven't heard any corrections in the background. I've heard of other things even in the background potentially doing similar WL type of things that are just not WL. So I haven't heard crap about WL in a while, to be honest.
Yeah.
Probably been almost, I don't know, 8 months or so before anybody's even whispered anything. So it might be dead. It might be, from what I'm hearing anyway.
Shoot. Well, either way, I don't necessarily agree with this meme. I mean, was there a lot of kings moving in WAL besides like Michael Todd and like Chafee? I don't think it was that big of a problem. It was more like Michael Todd was the big controversy there. But
Right.
broadly speaking, like I watched, I think every single WAL event. I don't recall there being too much kings moving. Do you?
And that was the cool thing about the WL is that like we would have watch parties. I mean, there was still like Zloty and PAL like vendettas and things like that, but the WL events were different. We would all go to my homeboy's house. We'd make like chips and dip and have a bunch of beers and sit around and watch it. And like I don't know, we had a great time, especially when it was in my city. When it was in LA, we'd drive down there. Oh, party time! We'd all get hotels, go down there, and just be in the crowd, losing our minds, getting hammered. But it was a great time. WL they threw a good event. They threw a good show. It was a good show for sure.
Yeah, no, we did the same thing. WL watch parties, man. Nothing quite like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. That's the one thing with East vs West. It's so long. It's almost impossible to do
I can imagine drinking for 8 hours trying to watch all these.
Exactly. Bring your sleeping bag.
World Arm Break League. Were there a lot of arm breaks in WL?
Who said that?
In the chat, Mr. Peanut.
Oh, Mr. Peanut calling out the WL.
See, Dennis, I want to live my life like Dennis. That's this is the life I want to live, right? I just want to be chilling, just living my best life. Look at that smile on his face. You never see Dennis smile. This is like the first time I've ever seen this guy smiling.
That's a funny point. So, believe it or not, this is, for those who don't know, this is actually a legitimate exercise. They're called donkey calf raises, and it is brutal, right? So she's doing calf raise. You can see her feet are on that plate there. So she's doing some calf raises. Try it next time you and your boy are just sweating hard at the gym and you're both just like, hey man, can I just get on top of you for some donkey calf curls? Just give it a shot. Give it a shot. You won't regret it.
If we have any nerds in the chat that are good with computers and things, can you please cut out Dennis and just put him on different things, like riding a rocket, riding a dinosaur? I just want to see him living his best life with a big smile on his face, just riding insane things.
How has that not happened yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you the first person? This is Reddit. This is all you do.
Him riding a unicorn or something into the horizon. I want to see this. Please, someone make it up.
To any Redditors listening, you do that, we will sticky your post to the top of the Reddit. All right.
But it has to be. I want him on 5 different things, 5 different objects. And we'll
you got homework. All right. We'll get a couple more of the top posts in, then we'll get to some questions here. Just memes. This is a week of memes. It's two booths here, one for stem cells, one for traditional medicine. And yeah, everyone's getting on that stem cell train, man. You haven't yet. Is that right?
No, I don't. Okay. I haven't looked into it that much, to be fair. But as far as I know, don't you get stem cells like to heal like an existing injury that is not healing? Like you have like a real problem in an area, so you get it to heal it up? Isn't that the point?
I believe it is, yeah. I've never heard of someone just taking it as preventative medicine. It's usually restorative medicine.
And so all these old beat up dudes are getting it. All these guys, these old injuries are all getting it. But I don't know. They brought it up to me, and people introduced me to people that do stem cells and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. One day when I need you, I'll hit you up. I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, it's not. But, we got Devin, old and beat up, old Jalopy, old Mike, old John, Dave Chafee, I don't know why Lavon's up there. Did Lavon get stem cells on his wrist?
I don't know. Maybe he's in there. He's in the line. So yeah, it must be true.
Just kidding. I love all you guys, by the way. Just messing with you.
Pablo was wearing that Biologics shirt in his interview. So they got Pablo on the train. All right, a couple more here. Arm wrestling action figures. What do you guys think of this? Have you been contacted for a Derek Smith? Do they have things big enough to make a Derek Smith action figure? I don't know if they have injection molding things big enough.
If I get my own action figure, oh my god! I was just about to clown thinking of grown ass men playing with action figures, but I mean I knew I did as a kid, but I'm just trying to picture some like big country boy like, look, I got my Devin Laird action figure. It just kind of made me laugh that thought. But to collect them and stuff, I would have it. It would be in the background of my show right here if I had a Devin Laird action figure or if an action figure of my own. I'm supposed to be getting I think I get a trading card, don't I? When I East vs West, don't I get my own trading card?
They are canceling the card thing for East vs West 9.
Are you serious?
No, they will have them, I'm sure.
Oh god, Brian, don't mess with me. I'm so hyped to get my own card. I'm just really not hyped on what they're gonna rate me, having me lost my last.
Oh, you're gonna get it bad, dude. You're right.
6s and 5s or something like that. Everybody else is like level 10, 10, 10. Like even Engen. Did you see Engen's card? It was
Oh
like
yeah,
10s
well,
across the board, like
timing.
9.5 and like all 10s.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna get it. He has to, because if he puts you above the other people that
yeah,
it's just not gonna work. So be prepared, but hopefully they're fair.
I'm just never gonna turn it over. I'm just gonna stare at the picture.
All right. Anything else here before we move on? Back pressure like Reno Masick says, beard artist, 40 kilograms. There was a lot going on with that apparatus. I'm seeing straps going all over the place. I'm trying to think which one is attached. Are all of them?
I think it's just he has to go around his wrist like a strap.
Just that purple one, because there's that white one too.
Yeah, something to hold on to. Because I'll do that sometimes. I'll just put something in my hand to squeeze while I'm doing it. You know, when you have a rope around the back of your hand.
Oh, that's interesting.
So what's that? 40 kg is like 90 pounds. What is it? 95 pounds?
Yeah, like 88 pounds, something like that. Oh, here you go. 60 kilograms. Very ugly. Don't count. Yeah, man. Beard artist posts a lot in the sub. He's the real deal, man. He's looking great.
He's strong, man.
Very strong. So it looks like he also brought that arm wrestling table to a big commercial gym, which I always respect that. Well done. All right, let's move on to some questions, shall we? Start off on some levity here. Which arm wrestler has the best sense of humor? Derek, who's your pick?
Myself.
Ooh.
No. Best sense of humor. Who makes me laugh the most when we hang out? Lavon is really funny. I really enjoy. I know it's like really subtle humor, like little looks and things like that. But he always makes me laugh a ton. Kind of same thing with Vitali. When I hung out with Lavon and Vitali, I was laughing my ass off the whole time. But Vitali doesn't speak any English, and Lavon does speak English. But in the United States, Todd Hutchings can be pretty funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what's jumping at me off the top of my head. I'm sure if I thought more, I could find. Neil's pretty funny.
Neil's funny. Hermes can take a joke extremely well. I mean, if anything, he laughs at things that aren't even jokes. So that's a good pick. Why don't we look at some of the responses? Travis, the Big Six, with the most upvoted response, he's saying Travis hands down, which that's an interesting. I guess it depends how you define sense of humor, but
like the things that come out of Travis's mouth make you laugh. But I don't think he intends them as jokes. That's the thing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's just saying the most cocky, crazy thing possible, and then we all laugh at it because it's hilarious that he even said that. But I don't think he's saying it to try to be the funny guy in the room. He's just saying what he thinks.
Stan Marsh says Prudnick is a total joker. Morozov too. Morozov's really funny, man. He's always it just sucks that there's a language barrier with him.
Yeah.
But he's always making silly faces behind people's backs when I'm filming him and shit. He's a blast. Next up, best tactic to win against a defensive hook with godly cup. Not just a regular cup, Derek. We're talking god level cup. What could you possibly do against a god?
I don't know, man. If it's god level, then I guess you just lose.
You just lose. Sorry. All right, next post. Yeah, so defensive hook, you're coming forward, right? You're trying to catch on the defensive side of the table. You're going to try to get in there before your opponent, supinate in, catch them. I think Devin Larratt, 2011, 2012, a lot of defensive hooking. So I think your best lane, if they're coming towards you, you might be able to apply a press diagonally across the table, and that's probably a vector that they're not in a great spot to defend against if you have that tool in your arsenal. Otherwise, I guess, they're going to be supinating in. So if you kind of build on that momentum, try to over-supinate them, really get control of their pronator is another angle. Derek, you got any tips if you knew someone's going to shoot in against you, palm up, just try to catch you a few inches above the pad?
I'm wondering what no word 4644. Are you a top roller or a hook puller? I get like that. That would have been nice info to have in this. Like, are you trying to ask how to get around a crazy cup, a guy with defensive hooks, or how to beat him in a hook? But if we'll just assume that you're in there, you're in the hook with him, right? If you're saying he's a defensive hook, you're in there. So we're hooking now because you can't roll out because he has a godly cup. So now we're committed to a hook. Go away from his wrist. Chop here. Get away from the wrist, right? Like either over supinate, press, go underneath, but not going to roll his hand out. But man, always remember, there's driving people outside the shoulder and there's extending the bicep, right? If you're not going to win the hand fight, there's still two other joints in arm wrestling that you can attack. You can still drag really hard back and open up his bicep, or slide that elbow across the pad and get him outside his shoulder, which will help weaken him and get him out. So I guess focus on those things.
There you go. Next up, from Rahal NJL. Do you guys think it's possible to arm wrestle a chimp? I mean, if we were to teach them, would they lose to Lavon? And I think that is an interesting question, only against Lavon. Chimps, for the record, are ridiculously strong. They're going to smoke anybody but Lavon, any normal person, I should say.
I will destroy a chimp. I will absolutely destroy a chimp. And then
hold on, is that an actual take of yours?
Keep the banana in front of him and not give him a single bite. I would set it up. Somebody
set it up.
Match up. Set it up.
Engen, yeah, cancel his match and get a chimp.
Get me a chimp.
He's serious. And a banana. Get a banana, a nice banana.
I'm losing an old
Are you
primate. You got me messed up, man. Too smart. I would cap his thumb. He wouldn't even know what hit him. He'd be like, I'd be like cheating. I would be cheating so bad, loading up.
We need this to happen. I've seen they've done stuff like that. They've done like tug of war, human versus chimp, and it's not even close. But arm wrestling, I don't know. I don't know that anyone can answer that question.
We are the advanced form, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, depending on your thought process, sorry. But I mean, you know, we're the upgraded version, right? I'm smoking a chip.
I mean, the scenario here is that we taught them how to arm wrestle. So what does that mean? How good are they?
He knows how to do this. All right?
Yeah.
Are you saying we teach him advanced level? Like, he's going to know how to do everything? He's going to be like an amazing arm wrestler? Or he just knows the rules of arm wrestling? Knows how to do it?
Right. Knows to go sideways. That's... All right. Let's move on. All right. Spiritual Mayonnaise writes, caloric surplus necessary for getting stronger as a beginner, or does it not matter? So I recall an interesting study. So just if anyone's curious what that means. So do you have to eat more food, more energy than you are expending in a day in order to get stronger? Basically, can you lose weight and get stronger at the same time? Lose fat and get stronger? Yes. There's a really cool study they did. They took an untrained individual and they had them do grippers on their right hand only for 3 months. And they took a baseline of both hands, right and left hand. And then this person only trained the gripper on their right hand for 3 months. And they saw significant improvement on the right hand, as you would expect, but also on the left hand. And because a lot of strength is neurological, it's nervous system. And it was a really cool study that showed it's not just about building muscle tissue. It's about being able to activate it as well and being able to communicate with your muscles. So from that angle, yeah, a calorie surplus is not necessary to get stronger. Is it necessary to build more muscle tissue? That's been a debate in the bodybuilding community for a long time. I mean, it's going to certainly be tougher, right? If your body is at a deficit and it's burning fat because you have so few energy, it's not going to be thinking too hard about adding more tissue that's going to be burning even more energy. But I don't know, Derek, do you have any experience with this? Have you ever cut and gained strength?
Right now, I am the lightest and strongest I've ever been. Oh, not the lightest I've ever been. Obviously, I was a child at some point. But since I've reached the high level of arm wrestling, I'm sitting at like 335. When I pulled Tom Nelson, I was 370. So I'm like 335 to 340 right now. I'm sitting here, but all my numbers are up to where they were at with Ravaz or stronger when I was like 350, 360. So right now but you know, I'm getting jacked. I'm lean. I got abs right now. No, I don't have abs. I'm lying too, but I'm leaning out. So what you're eating is big, right? Yeah, there's calories, but I mean, are you eating the correct amount of protein and all these things? Like, do you have to be in a surplus? You don't always have to be in a surplus. And in terms of gaining weight or not, I mean, if you're shedding body fat, then and replacing with muscle, you know, at the rate that's happening, so you got to take that into consideration. And I'm also wondering what he means by stronger. Does he mean stronger on a table, or does he mean stronger like in a gym setting? You know, like isolated, you know, muscle movements, or learning how to generate more force on a table, because that's like a lot of technique and ways to apply force. You know what I mean? And that's true in the gym as well, but it's going to be more strict muscle growth in terms of seeing gains in a gym than it is on a table. The table, you get 3 good training sessions, have the same amount of muscle, and you'll be a lot stronger on the table, just knowing how to position your body and how to utilize it, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't think you have to be caloric surplus. I think you can still, he doesn't say not gain weight, right? He just says, do you have to be in a caloric surplus? No, just have the right amount of protein in your diet and make sure you're healing. You're good. But you don't have to be in a huge surplus.
There you go. Yeah, I assume this guy probably wants to lose some fat and also just found arm wrestling and doesn't know if he can do both at the same time. But
Okay.
yeah, I'd say send it. Wrist flexion tightness on the top of hand. This is the faithful atheists writing. Not sure how to address this tightness. I have no club near me or a table, so I've never had any table time. This is strictly from weight training. I've noticed I'm seeing discomfort / tightness when doing flexion with my wrist closed for the past week or so. So he's doing this, wrist closed, flexion. The tightness is on the top of my wrist, right where the hand meets the wrist. Anyone else dealt with this specifically before? Obvious answer seems to be stretching the wrist. Not sure if there may be additional ways to keep the tendons healthy and avoid serious injury. Stretching, arm wrestling. Derek, you look like you have something to say, or you have to go to the bathroom. One of the two.
A little bit of both. No. One, when new guys get into the sport, and he's mentioning he doesn't have a club or a table, so he's probably relatively new, obsessed with it. When you get obsessed, a lot of people in this same situation to sit at home doing these wrist curls all day long, just trying to, because they're so excited and they want to get stronger at arm wrestling, right? I have a guy at my gym who has never been to one of my practices. He's like, he bought a new table, a pulley system, 15 different attachments, and he's just sitting in his house and just doing this all day. He's still never been to a practice. So I know he's like overtraining. You got to remember, these are newer movements probably for the faithful atheists. These are probably newer movements. And so give your wrist some time, man. It's going to take time for it to get used to these movements, especially if you're doing heavy resistance. That's why I tell all new guys to slowly ramp up the resistance, build a solid base, a foundation of your arms getting used to this movement. You don't have to rush it too much, especially in the wrist. Every time I've ever had a wrist injury, it sucks so bad because you use your wrist for everything. You grab a doorknob, anything, you use your wrist, and it goes in so many different directions. There's so many different ways to hurt it. And then to heal it is horrible because, like I said, you're using it for everything. So whenever I hurt my wrist, I went and I bought one of those the wrist braces that like literally have the splint things in it where you can't move your wrist. And then I put another wrist wrap on the outside of it. So I could not move my wrist. So whenever I leave the house, that thing was dead straight. So I got home. Then I'd get home, I'd do some light stretches, and then put that brace back on as soon as I can, because you just keep hurting. You'll keep re-aggravating it all day, every day, because it's such a complex joint. So whenever there's wrist injuries, I take them very serious. And if I actually want them to heal, you can't just be like, oh, I'll heal up, I'll just live my daily life. It won't heal up, in my experience. But yeah, I'd say just take some time, man, and don't rush it. Don't rush it, because that's a lot of tendons and ligaments in there and things that you could set you back.
Yeah. No, that's good advice. I had a similar issue actually. My left wrist could flex to about here, and my right could only go to about there. And it was very weird for the longest time. And I was talking to one of the kind of OGs at my club, and he gave me a stretch to do. He gave me a water bottle. I don't have a water bottle here, but I'll use this. He said, grab it like that, and then push it against your pec like that. And I felt the stretch right there, exactly in that spot. And it's important that you're holding a water ball to keep your hand in that position of arm wrestling and just push it against something. It works really well against the side of your pec. Oh. And over time, it just now up they're even, right? They're both flex at 90-degree angles.
You tripped me out just now. You said pec and you were touching your cheek, and I was like,
yeah, well,
I don't want to correct you right now.
I don't want to have to get up and do like, there you go. All right.
Ryan,
oh, by the way, you're welcome for the free advertisement.
I love what you're saying, but if I'm walking around the gym like this, hey guys, people might question things. You know what I mean? I don't want them to question my validity and my competence.
Listen, no, listen, if you are worried about what people think about you at the gym in arm wrestling, you'll never make it. You got to get over that. So, all right, there you go, faithful atheists. Hope that helped you out. Next post from user Eliminate. Hours training. I would like to know how many hours you guys are training daily for arm wrestling. I think 1 hour, 30 minutes is enough for each session, but would like to hear your trainings. So we've touched on this on the past. The short answer is it depends what your training looks like. I mean, if you're hitting flexors and, whatever, wrist flexors and elbow flexors, and then the next day you're doing pronation and supination or whatever the case, right, then yeah, it might be okay. But if you're just hitting, cupping every single day for an hour and a half, not giving your body time to recover, I don't think that's wise. So while it may be unsatisfying, the answer is it depends what kind of program you're on. But generally speaking, how much time would you say you put into wrist flexion a week, Derek?
Wrist flexion. So my workouts are 2 hours to 2.5 hours always, and I split it basically in half. The second half of the workout is hand and wrist. So anywhere from an hour to an hour and 15 minutes a day, and that's 5 days a week plus arm wrestling. So yeah, that math.
There you go.
But yeah, it depends. Like you said, like if you're talking about specifically training just for arm wrestling, but everything I train is for arm wrestling. So when I do my biceps, that's for arm wrestling. You know what I mean? But we're talking about hand specific stuff. Yeah, that's about a little over an hour a day, 5 days a week.
All right. Here's a. Well, before we move on, very important. I asked the chat who would win, Derek or a trained chimp.
I saw that, and I cast my vote. And if I'm not winning in this poll, I haven't checked it out again. Me and the chat are gonna have a serious discussion.
Yeah, well, I hate to break it to you, man. Mr. Chimp, 70%.
Wow.
You're a major underdog.
You guys serious right now?
Yeah.
I am a chimp is so I will I can close a 3.5, okay? I got my ass kicked on East vs. West stage twice. I'm legit.
Yeah.
I'm super
Chimp
legit.
can't say
I
that.
will destroy a chimp.
Yeah, no, Clerks is saying, do you know how strong a chimp is, Derek? I don't know, man.
Does the chimp know how strong Derek is? I don't think so.
Oh.
All right.
Over
the chimp.
What I would pay to see this match. All right, next up we got Pregyorg writing, best job to build arm wrestling strength. This is kind of a funny pose. It's known that people who work with hands a lot are stronger at arm wrestling. So which profession builds the strongest arms in your opinion? Construction, farmer, furniture delivery, or something else? That was just a fun one. What do you think, Derek? If you couldn't train for arm wrestling outside of job-specific activities, what are you doing? I've never heard the furniture delivery suggestion. That's not a bad one. Very dynamic.
Joe Wilson. Yeah. How many times the chimp guys asking on East vs. West? Exactly. None. They don't qualify for the stage.
There you go.
In my experience, these strongest people that come in off the streets with with their given background, gymnasts, number one. They're super good at staying tight and utilizing a lot of muscles at one time, like rings and things like that, and utilizing muscle coordination and muscle synergy. After that, baseball players have been pretty strong in my experience, but these aren't jobs, or unless they're paid to do these things. If we're talking about jobs, guys that turn wrenches can be pretty strong. Construction workers can be pretty strong. But yeah, in my experience, gymnasts. If I hear you're a gymnast, I'm like, oh god, you're gonna be strong as shit. All right.
Yeah.
Devin said male models.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. What the hell? He with no real justification, that was just like his empirical evidence, that in his experience. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of sold on furniture delivery, dude. If you're moving furniture all day, it's so funky and dynamic. I think you're gonna be strong in all kinds of weird ways. So that might be my new answer. All right, we got totally new to arm wrestling. Do you have any tips for tendon recovery? Asks Karkson Fking 1. He writes, the few times I have pulled, I noticed it takes quite some time for tendons to be 100% again. Also, does creatine and protein supplements help with tendon recovery, or is there something else for tendon recovery? And yes, first of all, protein is going to help you with tendon recovery. Creatine, not so much. Creatine is going to help you with ATP replenishing, so you'll have more endurance, sort of. But yeah, proteins are the building blocks of all the tissue, so you're going to want protein. Collagen is one supplement that I can confidently recommend. It's one of the few things that I've personally felt like I've seen a benefit with. And the one thing Derek does not agree with me on, so why don't we spice this up? Basketball. Basketball. Before you make the face, hold on. Let me be very clear about what I do. Very clear here. I go to my local park and I do a lot. I'll dribble up and down the court because it's a little bit of wrist flexion, wrist extension, a little bit of pronation, supination. I'm doing finger layups with grace, doing finger rolls at the net. If I'm shooting, it's a very gentle arc, a very gentle elbow extension and flexion. So you are hitting everything: pronation, supination, elbow flexion, elbow extension, wrist flexion, wrist extension in a very light and repetitive manner while getting your blood flow going. Derek, tell me why I'm wrong. You can't. You can't do
but
it.
You can attribute that to first off, anything. Like, I'm just walking down the street, just flailing my arms. See, there's wrist flexion in there and shoulder. I can just do this walking down the street, looking like Squidward from SpongeBob. Yes. And then I'm like, it's a great rehab work. I do it. And it doesn't mean I'm not looking silly doing the thing, right? But the biggest thing, a long time ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I was talking to Devin about, we were messaging each other about tendons and recovery. And he sent me this video that showed, it had the cadavers or dead bodies. And it showed like how tendons work. And it really broke down how tendons receive blood and how they rehab. So stick with me on this. I'm gonna do my best to explain it without giving you guys a visual because I don't have the video here. But there's blood vessels, right? And tendons only receive blood in certain areas, in like specific areas. So think of a tendon kind of like your car, and there's one hole for the gas, right? Your gas hole. What's it called? Anyway, so there's like 4 pumps of gas, and you have this one hole. So your tendon, you slide it across these pumps to receive blood from the blood vessels, right? They don't receive blood like muscles where there's it soaks in and there's a lot, it goes in easier, and how words to use. But anyway, so you have to slide the tendon across these pumps, these blood pumps, right? Blood vessels. And so that's why active therapy is best for tendons, to get the full range of motion, to keep sliding that tendon in its full range while it's receiving blood is the best way to get blood to a tendon. So that's why when my bicep tendon is taxed, full range curls all the way, sliding that tendon in its full range is the best way for it to receive blood. You have to move that thing all the way across. So it has the odds of the holes receiving blood from the blood vessels is the best if you're moving it all the way across, not just short ranges and lightweight for a pump. So that's the best way in my experiences and through the videos I've seen and from when talking to Devin and all that stuff. That's the best way for tendon recovery is active rehab, 5 pounds, save the bicep tendon, 5-pound curls, a full range up until you start feeling a pump. We're not trying to tear anything down. The moment it starts feeling pumped up, stop. That's it. The blood is there. Now stop. Don't keep going like, I could get 10 more reps in. That's not the point. The point is just to get blood flow in there, then stop. We're not trying to tear anything else down. So active rehab recovery is probably my go-to.
Jokes aside, is that not kind of what I was getting at with the basketball? Very lightweight.
Because you're not isolating these things. First off, dribbling a ball, that's 10 reps of you moving a ball. That's not active rehab, getting a ton of blood flow to it.
You know what you are, Derek? JW gets it. That's what you are. All right, we'll move on. There's your answer, Karg. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. All right, next question is by Sandro Guramashvili. We've got a Ishvili here. Arm wrestling techniques. Can anyone tell me what style is good for what? I am quite new to arm wrestling, and I don't have strictly one style. Most of the time, I can pull in the hook, go high in top roll, or even inside with flop press, but I much prefer top roll. So what is good for what? Most of the people in Georgia are really strong inside pullers on instinct. So if someone is good in hook, should I try to win in a hook war or go low hand top roll? Also, not enough table time is my enemy, as I really don't know my total strength / weaknesses. So kind of a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah.
But I figured we'll try it. So what is good for what? So if you're new, don't worry too much about that. Just worry about getting good at arm wrestling. But to answer this question more specifically, if someone's trying to hook you, a low hand top roll might be something worth looking into. There's plenty of videos describing that. But again, if you're new to arm wrestling, just learn how to do each one correctly. Don't worry about, this guy's going to do this. What's the correct? You probably don't know how to hook. You probably don't know how to top roll. Even if someone told you the correct thing to do, like me telling you to low hand top roll, you probably don't know how to do that either. So just focus on learning, in my opinion, all the techniques, right? Learn how to hook, learn how to top roll, and then you'll start to understand what it feels like to do those things and therefore what to do to counter them. But Derek, I think you've actually said something different. When you have a new guy, do you encourage them to learn everything, or do you have them focus on one technique at a time?
We start in a hook.
You start in a hook.
Mm-hmm.
For how long?
I feel like it gives the most solid foundation, and it gives a mindset of strength gains rather than technical prowess, which is a better thing to instill in a new person. What you learn first, you learn best. And so in your first couple of days, I want you feeling weak. I want you thinking, I need to get stronger for this. And we'll dial everything else in over time. You'll learn all the moves and small techniques and things. But if you realize, like, I just need to keep getting stronger and I'll be better at this, cool. A hook will make you feel weak when you get ripped through in one, right? And you'll be like, oh man, I just need my bicep and chest, everything get way stronger. Cool. Keep that mindset for the rest of your career, and we'll work on the small things, right? That's kind of the basis of it. I do want to take a quick second, though. I don't know if you're watching the chat on YouTube, but Carolyn has been a member for 1 month on your channel here, and she posted a message saying, Ryan, East Coast have strongest people.
Yeah, so true.
I mean, obviously not true, but I mean, I love Carolyn, so of course I'm going to read her message for you. You know, I want to make sure that gets out there. And a member for 1 month, memberships on Ryan's channel, by the way, people. Thank you for being a member on Ryan's channel, Carolyn. You're awesome.
Thank you. Supports the show. Arm wrestling, it's not the biggest sport, so having you guys support it directly like that is a huge, huge deal. Thank you so much, Carolyn. And I think you are objectively correct. I have no bias here. Just because I've lived in the Northeast my entire life, I can still objectively say the East Coast just has the best arm wrestlers of any era. I hate to break it to you, Derek. Okay, within an hour of me, Tim Bresnan, Jerry Cataret, RVJ, Mike Aiello, New York. You can just go down the list, man. What do you got over there?
We got Larry Wheels right now, bro.
Oh, okay. Well, if it was some social media contest, I'll hand it to you.
But we're talking about
arm wrestling,
Larry
baby.
would truck you right now. You don't want to arm wrestle Larry right now. I'm telling you. Go play your basketball, Ryan. Go dribble your little basketball up the street. All right, we're gonna be over here training and getting beast mode.
Hey, I will tell you though, tell Mega Mike I do want that match at some point if he's open to it. I'm feeling stupid strong right now. So thank you for the support, Carolyn. Did we answer that pretty well? Yeah, I think we did. All right. Is arm wrestling, where is it? This one's I'm curious of your thoughts on this. Is arm wrestling getting too soft? Asks SVL 100. So we're getting a little meta here. He says, I'm from Europe and I love watching sports, football, soccer, basketball, rugby, hockey, MMA, boxing, etc. About 2 years ago, we started following arm wrestling. One thing that baffles me is how soft arm wrestling is compared to most sports, especially for a sport that involves huge men trying to rip each other's arms off. Both of the athletes and fans seem to get their feelings hurt if one of the competitors, Devin mostly, says one bad thing or makes a slightly negative comment. In no other sport do you see fans cry so much about an athlete being mean, and in no other sport will you find athletes that get so upset about a few verbal shots from a guy they are literally scheduled to fight. I'm not saying everyone needs to insult each other for no reason, but please don't get upset if the person you are facing isn't your best buddy. Was wondering what you guys think. And he has an edit at the end here saying, I like the difference in opinions coming. I just want to clarify. I'm talking about softness in terms of fragile egos and mentality, not physical softness. So lots to read there. Are we too soft, Derek? Are people's feelings getting too hurt in arm wrestling?
Okay, first off, I don't know if this guy, what sports he's watching, but the fans are fragile in every sport. I've seen football players. How many countless videos have we seen of fans of football teams like fighting in the parking lot after their team lost in a game? Like, okay, so back off a little bit on that one. But also, you got to remember when our sport is small. We started. It's very tight knit, and that's one of the best things about arm wrestling. When you actually become an arm wrestler, I don't know if you're an arm wrestler, you're actually in the community, but once you actually go to your first event, you go to your first practice, you meet everybody, you understand that at the base of arm wrestling, which is the coolest thing about it, is that the very tight-knit community, and it's very brotherhood-oriented. And so the reason arm wrestlers give some crap about if someone goes too personal is because we have a background of us all sticking together. We compete against each other, like, honorably, but at the same time, in the end, that guy's going to come over to your house in 3 months and have practice with you and dinner with you and your family, and like that's how we've always been. So when things start getting way too personal, the guys that are in the sport and been in the sport for a long time are like, yo, like that's still our home, that's still our brother, like chill, because we've been so tight knit. Now I understand what you're saying if you're comparing it to like MMA, which is bigger, right? In terms of there's more dojos, it's a bigger around the world sport and stuff like that. But that's why a lot of times the inner community kind of frown upon it about getting too serious about it. I'm not saying it's correct. I'm just saying that's why. Now, do I think that it boosts the sport? Yeah, I think Devin running his mouth it gets more views, more clicks, things like that. But you also have to remember, Devin is one of the biggest names, if not the biggest name in our sport. So you're going to have a lot more opinions. Everybody's going to share their opinion about Devin at all times. So you're going to hear how he's being too mean. You're going to hear how he's not mean enough. You're going to hear all the stuff about Devin 100% because he's running his mouth and because he's one of the most famous guys in our sport. So I don't know. Do I think it should be softer? It depends on the camp you're coming from. If you want our sport to be the Olympics, if you want to be WAF and everybody very professional and thank you, sir, compete as hard as you can and say thank you and walk off the stage. If you want that to be our goal, super professional, then you want less crap talking. You want more professionalism in the sport. If you want to go TV mode, we want to go WWE. We want to bring entertainment in there, sponsors, just have a wild, crazy party. Then maybe you want more trash talk, right? So it kind of depends on where you think the sport should go and how you value the sport. Maybe we'll show which camp you're in terms of a softness, I guess.
Yeah. And I'd be careful not to paint with too broad of a brush here. I mean, like if you just remove Devin from the picture, nobody would have this issue at all. So he's just one controversial guy. I don't think that says too much about the sport as a whole. And one last point here. Larry Wheels is from New York, which is on the East Coast. Just want to throw that out there. But anyway, let's move on to our next post.
When was he his weakest? Oh, when he was over there, right? He's the strongest.
Okay. Credit Dubai for that then. All right, so impressive pair, 6'6", 6'8". Got to get those numbers in. My hands are too small. I feel like my hands are too small for arm wrestling. Is there any way I can fix that? Like make them bigger? Or is it not even related to hand size at all? Edit. For context, from the base of my palm to the tip of my middle finger is 15 centimeters or 5.9 inches, and my pinky finger is about 39 centimeters or 1.5 inches long. So longer hand, no, that you definitely can't make it longer. Thicker, abso-freaking-lutely. I've pulled a lot with Tim Bresnan, and for super heavyweights, he has one of the smaller hands that I've gripped up with, but it's also one of the most uncomfortable hands I've gripped up with, because it doesn't matter if your hand is longer. If this part is super fat, which it is on Tim, you're not going to get the coverage anyway, and it's as though you had a small hand to begin with, right? You're never going to get great coverage on Tim's hand because his hand is so thick that you don't cover that same kind of surface area. So you can absolutely make your hand thicker, but longer, no, I've never heard of that. And if you have to ask this question, you're obviously new to the sport. It doesn't matter. Like, this starts to matter when you're getting into the very, very elites, where a few centimeters on the last knuckle of your ring finger is going to give you a 0.05 advantage, which might forget it, dude. You have so many other things to work on. You can be absolutely dominant in your local scene and take this as far as you want. Don't worry about these little measurements and think you're screwed in arm wrestling. It will only matter at the very top. Derek, agree, disagree?
Tim's hand's uncomfortable. I didn't notice it. I just
I
never really got that.
Really? I mean, did you really not think his hand was thick?
I know that Tim's hand's amazing. Come on. Yeah, I get to take a shot, right?
That's fair. You're so critical. You get to flex as well. That's fair.
So yeah, I always tell, but I think there's two posts right now about people with small hands. I commented on one of them. I don't know if it was this one or the other one, where I basically said, did I get on this one? It might have been the other one. People with small hands are all over Reddit right now, just running amok.
Yeah, we get a lot of these. So,
I don't think it was in this one. Basically, though, what I say about when people have small hands is you're not meant to hold on to things because you have a small hand. So don't arm wrestle in a style which is dependent on you holding on to things, right? That's not your strength. At a higher level, it's not going to suit you well if you develop the habits of clutching and getting coverage and trying to contain things. That's not what you're built for. I've had teammates where they had a small hand, big biceps, they love to hook, and I told them right away, I said, hey, you have a small hand, let's not focus on your hand and how much coverage you're going to get on people, because that's not in the end. When you start pulling pro and things like that, your hand is just too small. It's going to get exploited all the time if you're depending on it. And he's like, oh, it feels pretty good. I can get most people to hook. And I was like, yeah, an amateur. Eventually he went pro and just getting top ruled everybody and just trying to hold on as best he can, just getting his arm ripped open over and over again. So the things I say to people that have smaller hands, either get really fast or get really good in the straps. right? In terms of you just being able to contain someone and reel them in, not going to happen. Not going to happen at a high level. We're talking about at a really high level if you have small hands. So either if you especially if you're a hook puller, this is what I'm talking about. If you want to hook, shooting in really fast and securing that cup before they start rolling out, so you get the full wrist flexion before they go, and or straps and or both, right? Straps, you don't need the finger coverage as much. It's not as important because they're bound to your palm. You can move the strap. Now, as a top roller, if you have a small hand, you probably have a shorter forearm. Normally, they kind of go together, but you can probably get that forearm vertical and just post, make the other guy hold on to you. You're not holding on to him. You're posting straight back, and they're trying to contain you. But there's definitely ways of arm wrestling with a small hand being extremely successful. So don't let it get you down, man. But 5.9 inches, I think, if I remember correctly, people measure mine. I think it's almost 9. He has 5.9.
Derek,
like,
he's already insecure, dude.
I know. I'm just trying because, like, I'm not good with numbers, but that one it clicked with me, and I was like, oh my god, that's it's not a big deal, man. Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. There you go. Similarly, are long arms a disadvantage? People are obsessed with measurements before they've even gotten into this sport, which is the point I was trying to make, dude. Like, go to practice, dude. I don't care what. I've pulled people with missing fingers and they don't have a left arm. So relax, people. It's not any reason to not start arm wrestling. But here we go. So just Palpitation 521 writes, are long arms a disadvantage? I saw someone post in the comments of a post that having long arms can be a disadvantage most of the time. I was under the impression it was mostly an advantage simply because it's a longer lever. Is this inaccurate? I'm new to the sport still. I'm a posting top roller primarily. I'm 5'11", but my wingspan is closer to 6'4" or 6'5". Elbow to fingertip is just about 20 inches. The answer is it depends. Todd Hutchings did a good video on this, and he's like, if you're gripping up with someone and you have a 20-inch forearm and they have an 18-inch forearm and there's 100 pounds of force between your hands, you're going to have 2,000 inch-pounds of force on your elbow because you have the longer lever. They're going to have 1,800. So you're actually handling more force in your joints than they are. So the kind of off-the-cuff conventional wisdom, people will tell you if you have a longer arm, it's worse for hooking, and that's kind of the logic there. However, if you have a longer arm, you can also reach more places on the table. You're not going to be as uncomfortable if the match goes a little more outside as someone who doesn't. Plus, if you're a posting top roller, you're going to want that long arm. It helps make the other opponent have a tougher time holding on to you. You can get all kinds of cheat advantages in the setup. So it depends. I think in totality, having a longer arm, I wouldn't trade it for a shorter arm. So I think that answers your question. Derek?
Yeah. First off, Jake Ranson's comment in the chat kind of made me laugh.
This is a family show, Jake. Jesus.
Come on. Okay. So, long arms. I have long arms. Long arms provide options, like you were saying, Ryan. Like one of the biggest things when I start arm wrestling with people, like at practice or people that haven't pulled me, they start pulling backwards and they're just like shocked that I'm just coming forward and I'm like just chasing them all the way over. I can be at the front of the elbow pad and grab your side of the table. Like the table goes like here. I can just put my hand on the other side of the table while still being on the pad. So there's nowhere you can go that I can't go. So I always tell people to get comfortable top rolling me or doing something, you better be comfortable top rolling here. Like that's where your max pressure better hit is right here because I'm going to go there before my elbow stops. And so you better be able to top roll way back here to open me up. So options are great. Obviously, if I can slide my elbow forward and they can't, their arm's shorter, then they are below me. They're trying to hold on while I get vertical, and it gives me an advantage. If you have a shorter arm, shorter stump on the tree, you can bring it in tighter. It's harder to move. It's thicker. It's more connected. I think there's more advantages to having a long arm than a short arm, but there are advantages to having a shorter arm. I think there's more advantages to having a long arm. I would think the biggest thing is having the options. Like you said, it's probably the biggest benefit is that people can't run away from you. There's no place on the table I kind of can't reach. Like you have to, I'm not going to run on a pad. You kind of have to pin me. Like you have to go through me at some point. So that's why Todd Hutchings, right? A big Todd Hutchings would always say, man, it sucks. And for his move, he's like, I just run out of pad. I don't have a long enough arm. If I could just, so when I started getting into hooking, I would just tell myself, I was like, imagine if I turn myself into Todd Hutchings, but with my length of arm. Like if I sought that hook to the depths of the earth and I can reach that far and I was comfortable with it no matter where it landed like he is, but I can go, you can't run from me because they pull back and Todd Hutchings runs out of elbow pad. He can't reach any further and I can. So that was my kind of thought process with that. Never fully developed all the way. Still working on it. But
yeah,
I mean, options are great.
Yeah, I will say I practice with my girlfriend Jacqueline sometimes. I'll do like a flop press. We're just messing around. Her arms are so short that when she drags back, she can bring the match so far to her side of the table because of that short forearm. You think her elbow's at the back of the pad. Her forearm's so short that we are basically right over her elbow pad. And because my shoulder can't cross the center line, the range doesn't matter that much anymore. I'm at my max. So there are advantages to having that shorter arm. So don't get discouraged if you do have that shorter arm. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left, and there's an interesting question for you, Derek, because you have a super match coming up, a big one, and user I'm Avco Poozer writes, super match peaking strategy. Hey guys, I'm having a super match on August 26th, so that's about 45-ish days from now. I'm thinking about training hard until 2 weeks left, and then keep training, but remove table time. So only weights for the last 2 weeks. And for the last week, train once around 4 to 5 days from the match, but with like 50% intensity. Can you guys give me some advice on peaking strategy / improvements on my strategy? Thanks. What do you think of that strategy, Derek? Is that what you do?
It's funny. I have a super match on the same day. Is this Medi? Is this you?
Dude,
is this you on Reddit? Because I'll ban you. Right now, dude. You think you can just come up in my house and start commenting? So you actually look at the user.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's actually really similar to what I'm doing. So generally, arm wrestlers, when prepping for a match, the further away you are from a match, the more gym focused you'd be on strength gains and just getting the horsepower built up. As you get closer to the match, dial up table time, get it sharper with those tools with the increased horsepower you already have, sharpen everything up, more and more table time, and then obviously you take your break and everything before you compete. For me personally, I'm pretty much doing what you said on here. I stop table time 2 weeks out. I lift the week of. I won't lift the week before. I'll continue to lift. I'll probably stop. Say the match is on a Saturday. I'll stop by the previous Saturday, any heavy lifting, Friday probably, because your CNS can take up to 2 weeks. So I'm not trying to go stupid crazy, and I'm not trying to get injured 2 weeks out lifting weights. But I'm also still trying to get this last minute gains as well. So you kind of got to dial that in. No table time that weekend. And then I will do like light rubber bands on Tuesday, Wednesday, leading into my match, just to get I don't like going into a match feeling like a limp noodle. I hate that when I've taken too much time off and then I go into a super match. I'm like, I haven't felt my muscles fire up in like over a week. So I like to feel a little bit something, but I don't want to tax my CNS and I don't want to tear anything down. So some just light rubber bands, just get the muscle fired up a little bit throughout the week. I'll do it a couple times. And then, I'll take two to 3 days with nothing. And then I'll head into the match chilling. That's how I do it. But that's pretty much what this guy was saying. I mean, so I think it's a good game plan. That's generally how I follow it. But yeah, the heavy table time leading up right now I'm switching. I had practice yesterday and I'm going to be switching to heavier table time, putting an emphasis on heavy table time rather than pulling every 2 weeks like I've been doing. I'm going to switch to pulling every week. Yes, my gym is going to suffer, but I've already made a lot of gains in the gym. So I'm going to get what good gym days I can this week and focus on heavy table time to sharpen everything up before my match. So up until 2 weeks out.
There you go. It's about that time. Thank you all for watching. To support Derek, to support me, we're on my channel right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Derek's got this project going, the awswitch.com, all kinds of cool gear. Check that out. Support him. Some sweet hats. You were adding some women's clothing? Is that done
yet? I was just gonna say, last night Bridget's stayed up like all last night designing stuff. There's gonna be some women's stuff coming, specifically for women. She wants to start this female arm wrestling clothing line, so that's gonna be going. And then also we're gonna be ringing up on the Alpha Empire shirts pretty quick here. I know people have been ordering a lot of those, so we're getting more of those in stock for everybody. And then I still want to do the next shirt I wanted to do was like a Northeast shirt. I just couldn't figure out where, because we did California, we did Texas, because Texas is popping. Obviously, I'm from California, so there. And then, but there's so much arm wrestling in the Northeast, but there's a lot of states and stuff up there, so I don't know which one to do. Right? I'm like, I don't know which state to, or if we should just do like Northeast arm wrestling shirt.
That'd be cool. New England, but that kind of excludes like a few. So yeah, Northeast is cool. We kind of have a Northeast identity up here, so that would fly. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But
it'd just be a bunch of old arm wrestlers from in the picture of the for the
like old like goats with a ton of knowledge who have imparted it on the next generation of goats. Yeah, no, you spot
it would just
on,
be Fitzy. It'd be Fitzy on the cover on the shirt.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm gonna be seeing him Wednesday.
He's awesome.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that. That is the Arm Wrestling Reddit page. You can go to reddit.com/r/armwrestling to hang out with us and maybe get one of your posts featured on the Pulse episode 15 on Derek's channel Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. fake time. Thank you guys for watching.
Hey guys,
Derek,
before we sign off, everybody, guys, if you guys can share this, obviously the show is still trying to take off. What would help us a ton, if you guys could share this on your YouTube, share this on Facebook, share it anywhere, just get the word out of this show, especially if you guys like the way we've laid it out and help, just answer all the questions, the training questions, and talking about the hot topics. If you guys like this show, because a lot of people that watch this say, hey, that's like my favorite show, but we don't got a lot of people watching. You guys can help us get the word out. I'd really appreciate it. Tag me in anything and Instagram. I'll reshare your stuff or wherever you want to share this. I just really appreciate you guys helping get the word out about this show.
There you go. So yeah, next week, Monday, Derek's channel, AW Derek on YouTube. Be there. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.